Welcome to another edition of Left Coast Sports with Jon Schaeffer. And Left Coast Sports is brought to you by the Multicultural Heath Foundation, reimagining wellness. We're shifting the conversation from managing illness to inspiring wellness. Selection Sunday, folks, is less than 2 weeks away, and teams all over the country are jockeying right now for seeding ahead of their respective conference tournaments. And the UC Santa Barbara Gauchos out of the Big West happen to be one of the hottest teams in the nation right now. They've won 13 of their last 14 games. They're trending towards the top overall seed in the upcoming Big West tournament. How have they been able to build this program to the cusp of March Madness? Stay tuned for my conversation with Gauchos assistant coach Ben Tucker coming up in just a moment. Before we get started, though, with today's episode, please give us an auto download on your podcast platform so you get future episodes automatically. Left Coast Sports is available on most podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, the free iHeartRadio app, YouTube, and Spotify. And please give us a review, too. Reviews are always greatly appreciated. And while you're here and listening, please give me a follow on Twitter at Jon Schaeffer. That's JONSCHAEFFER at Jon Schaeffer. UCSB has had a remarkable season and currently ranks in the top 50 in the net, surrounded by schools like Arizona, Louisville, and Seton Hall in that metric. If they reach the NCAA Tournament, they figure to be a tough out with a veteran group of high major transfers leading the way. Here's my conversation with UCSB assistant coach Ben Tucker. So, Coach, it's obviously been a great season thus far. Was there a moment in the year where you realized that this could be a pretty special season like the one you're having?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of moments that stick out. It's always a journey, and we lost our first two conference games, and we really kind of had to have a gut check. Look in the mirror, and you really know how guys were going to respond. We're lucky to have an older group, but we did have a handful of guys who were new to the program, transfers who came in this year, and a couple of guys who sat out last year, and so you have to see how they're going to respond. I think it's to every day, you see how they respond to weekends like that where we drop two in a row and they come back and practice and they're ready to go and their energy doesn't drop. I don't know if there's a single play that highlights it, but I think just you see how guys respond to adversity because everybody's going to hit it at some point in the season, whether it's injuries this year with COVID, the protocols and stoppages and starts and all the different changes. But to see how our guys responded to dropping our first two conference games, right after Christmas, and to come back and luckily right now it's 12 in a row since then. But, for guys to respond, not just with winning games, but just how they attack practice, weights, just the daily improvement. So those couple of weeks after that, I think were really the point where you kind of look around and say, man, this is a special group of guys.
Has any of this become normal with the COVID protocols? Because you guys, by and large, and again, knock on wood, we knock on wood with every program in the country, but by and large, you've been able to avoid some of the issues associated with this virus. Has it become somewhat normal?
Yeah, I think it becomes part of your routine. I don't know if it's normal for any of us, basketball or not, just with all the stuff we have to do, but it does become part of your routine. So it's not as big of a shock, I think, as it was maybe at first with just all the testing you do each week and, obviously masks and all the stuff we're doing to try to protect our guys and protect our, everyone involved in the program. So it definitely has become more part of the routine. I don't know if it'll ever feel normal, just doing all the stuff you got to do. And, I think the part of it that's probably even just maybe not the most difficult, but just the most unusual besides the masks and testing is, just even on the road when you're traveling and, eating boxed meals and, just trying to do all those little things where, it does add up over the course of the season where it can wear on you. They definitely wear on the guys, where you're just not able to have that same personal interaction, that we once did. But, to answer your question, I guess I don't think it's normal, but it's become part of the routine. So everybody's got to deal with it, and we're not the only ones in the country. So we're all trying to figure it out and roll with it and just make the most of them.
You've been one of the best passing teams in the nation this year in terms of assists per game, assists per made basket. Who gets the credit for that?
Oh, I mean, the guys, they got to make the passes. I don't think much has changed in the way, we coach it or teach it. We've always stressed that. But this team is a very unselfish group, just in general. On the floor, off the floor, they care about each other. They're definitely guys who get, as much, if not more, joy and excitement when their teammates do well. That starts with those guys. And, the guys that have the ball most in their hands, for us are Ja'Cory McLaughlin and DeVille Ramsey. And, it starts with those two. Both have been in the top 10 different points in the year in assist-to-turnover ratio in the country, which is, for one guy to do that is phenomenal, but to have two guys that have been in that spot, throughout the year. And it just bleeds through your team. When your primary ball handlers are unselfish, now when, it gets passed along the line, everybody, is more than happy to keep it moving. So it's definitely those guys, and I think it started with, our 2 point guards, and then it's kind of bled down through the rest of the team.
You mentioned that unselfishness, and then you see that your team, shoots 50% from the floor. I would imagine the unselfishness is a big reason why.
Yeah. We pride ourselves, and Coach Pasternak has always preached it from the first day we got here, in being an unselfish team, on both sides of the floor. And the way that shows on offense is obviously your assists, your field goal percentage is a byproduct of that ball movement. Mm-hmm. We talk a lot about, the quality of shot we're getting, our shot selection. Are we taking the shot for the team, or are we taking it for ourselves? And that's something we've preached from day one. And like I said, this group, we've got an older group, which helps, and a group that's been in our program now, our system for, a lot of the guys 3 or 4 years, where they understand just what we're looking for, what a good shot is, what an average shot or a poor shot is. So, but everything that we want to do offensively starts with ball movement. We want ball movement and player movement to create the best opportunity we can. So, but again, it comes down to those guys, and we can have the greatest plan in the world, but those guys have to execute it, and we've got really good players that are able to execute at a high level. You've
had some really good regular seasons recently since you arrived, obviously, with Coach Pasternak, who you mentioned. What would it mean to this program this year if you could win a regular season title in the Big West?
Yeah, I think it would show, obviously our players, ourselves, but also just our supporters, everyone that's invested in our program and potentially future recruits have just, taken that next step. It's not easy to build any program, and we were lucky to win a lot of games since we've come in, and there was some turnover in our first and second year, just having a lot of guys, and now we've kind of hit some stability, and so now it's time to take that next step. So hopefully that results in a regular season championship, and hopefully postseason berth and a run. We've always talked about, and I think, to me, to our staff and our players, why we've had the success we have, and starts with Coach Pasternak, and he preaches it every day since the day he's got here, is just honoring the process. And our process starts with practice each day, and how we go about that. So we try not to focus too much. We have our team goals, but we try not to focus too much on that end result. We really, want to focus on getting better, our improvement, on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, getting individual players better, and just taking that day by day and letting the results, take care of themselves because of the way we go about our work. And like I said, that starts with Coach P and what he preaches every day and how he goes about his work every day, and then that just stems down through our staff and into our players. So, I think it would be fantastic for our guys. It'd be great for our program, obviously, to win a regular season championship. And for us, and it's what our guys have been able to do throughout this win streak, is just stay focused on the game at hand, the team we're playing this weekend, and just stay locked in on them and really try to keep that narrow focus because there are so many distractions. There's so many things that can pull your attention away, as a player, especially as you get long and deep into the season. So, our guys have done a great job of just staying focused on the task at hand and just trying to get better every single day.
What are you and the coaching staff more proud of when you see a team that leads the Big West and not just scoring offense but also scoring defense? Which side of the ball is there more pride in?
Well, for me, I think the sharing the ball is huge, but the defense has been probably the thing I'm the most proud of. Probably Coach Pasternak and the rest of our staff are the most proud of, because it's an area that we have been working since we got here to improve, but it's been a long process. Statistically, through KenPom and a lot of those analytics, offensively, we've been at the top or 1 or 2 in the league in offense every year since we've been here. Our first year was one of the best offensive teams, per those stats, they've had at UCSB in the last 15, 20 years. Mm-hmm. So we've had good offensive players. We've had really talented guys, but our defense has lagged behind. Coming from Arizona with Coach P and that's where we really want to pride our program, as being an elite defensive and rebounding team. So for our guys to take that step, because we've been middle of the conference to back half of the conference in defense our first 3 years, And that's been a sour point for us as a staff is, we pride ourselves on that defensive side of having great toughness, great ball pressure, really, really scouting and taking teams out of, their main actions, and then allowing our guys to really get after it. And to see our team, take that jump this year, and we've got to finish it out, but we've really taken strides on the defensive side. And so, I think as a coach, that's probably what you're most proud of, because that's just, that's energy and effort and toughness, and, just getting some more depth in the program. Now in our fourth year of being able to play more guys that can execute our scheme at a high level. Just adding depth and not having to rely on only a couple of guys where, maybe they have to take some breaks. So, I think it speaks a lot about the whole program, of just being able to build a program that has depth, has quality players across the board, and guys that buy into both sides of the floor.
You mentioned Arizona. I know you played and you coached there. How much Arizona, so to speak, is in this program, and how do you tweak what you and Coach Pasternak were able to do and have success with under Coach Miller and bring your own style to it?
Yeah, so we have a lot. I think that the philosophy is almost identical, and kind of just the day-to-day of how we go about the program. Just being detail-oriented across the board, on the floor and also off the floor. Just the approach we take. In the 4 years we've been here, we've had 5 different guys, including myself and Coach Pasternak, and 3 of our support staff guys were at Arizona with us in different roles as managers or graduate assistants. So a lot of just the day-to-day, how we go about things, the way we structure the program, like I said, for everything from study hall and, academics to on the court and scheme is very, very similar. Now, obviously, you have to tweak things to your level, your conference, and then, the personnel that you have. But there's definitely a lot of the identity is the same. And like we talked about a little bit before, just that, that want to have that nastiness on defense and rebounding is definitely the main thing that bleeds over. And then, sharing the ball and having great ball movement. But yeah, philosophy-wise, it's very, very similar with a couple tweaks just to fit our personnel and our level in our conference. But yeah, very, very similar.
What was it about your time at the University of Arizona that made you say, hey, I'd really love to get into coaching?
Oh man, well, I was a manager at Arizona, and I was there for 2 years at the end of Coach Olson's time, and then my junior year is when Coach Miller came in. So I was able to work for Coach Miller for 2 years as a manager, and then left for a few years to pursue the coaching deal, and then was able to go back to him. So I was around a lot of good guys individually, a lot of great coaches from obviously Coach Olson and Coach Miller. Josh Passner was an assistant. A couple guys that are now in the NBA, Matt Browsey, Brett Brillmeyer were support staff guys. Mike Dunn. I was around a ton of brilliant basketball minds from a lot of different backgrounds. So I went to Arizona actually to get into coaching. I knew I wanted to be a coach from a young age and wasn't going to play at the high major level. I wasn't that good of a player, but I knew I wanted to coach and wanted to get into it, and had an opportunity to work as a student manager for Coach Olson and his staff, and jumped at that just to try to soak up whatever knowledge I could. And yeah, being around all those guys, all the different head coaches, but obviously spent the most time with Coach Miller, and just to see the process, of going through of building a team, of obviously the X's and O's, and just the time you spend with the players, the difference you can make in their lives. That jumped out at me. Just to be able to be in the gym, help them work on their game, chase their dreams of becoming a professional. But then also getting to spend that time with them off the floor. We spend so much time with these guys. I don't think the average fan or even, average person understands how much time, we're all around each other. So you can really help people, chase their dreams, whether it's being a pro or, their career outside of basketball whenever it's done. And, I think that's something that really hit home with me. And it's something that Coach Pasternak really takes a lot of pride in here. And it's one of the main things I really enjoy about being at Santa Barbara is we are able to really launch our guys' careers after basketball, whenever that may be. We really hope that they become pros and make a lot of money playing the game and can play for a long, long time. But being at this university, a top 5, top 6 public university in the country, to be able to have a network of people that we can connect our guys with once their playing career is over, to really launch that next chapter of their life, it has been special. And it's something that Coach takes a lot of pride in, and obviously stems through our staff. And something we talk a lot about, not only with recruits and future players, but our current guys, of getting them set up with a network to, really pursue whatever that next avenue is. And it's just special, when you can help somebody chase their dreams and really try to help them, set themselves up to have the life they want to have.
Yeah, and win basketball games, because you guys are seeking a fourth consecutive 20-win season. What was it about your time with Coach Pasternak at Arizona that made you realize that at one point he was going to be a darn good Division I head coach?
I mean, he is the most relentless competitor I've been around, and that's not a knock on anyone else. He's nonstop, and so you just knew there was going to be success wherever he went because of his work ethic, and it stems down to our players because they see it every single day. But just an unbelievable recruiter, relentless with it, has a great eye for talent and, who good players are. And then just the work ethic and the habits, of preparing our team. I saw it, with him as an assistant, of getting guys ready individually, scouting reports, preparing the defense at Arizona night in and night out. And you knew the preparation was there and the work ethic was there. And I had no doubt, he was going to be very, very successful when he got his opportunity. It was just a matter of when and where that would be.
So it's been 10 years, Coach, as you know, since UCSB has been in the NCAA Tournament. What's it like preparing for, regular season opponents and having those 3, 4, 5 days of lead time before weekend series, and then trying to win tournament games, like in the Big West tournament where you got to beat different teams on back-to-back nights, for example?
Yeah, I think the preparation time, you hit it on the head of having, you've got 4 or 5 nights, and as assistants, the way you split up the scouts, a lot of times we may have even a week and a half to prepare for that next opponent. So you can get a little more detailed. I think you can give your guys more information, throughout the regular season scouts. Now, the nice thing is we have an older group. They know their opponents now. In this league, we've played a lot of the same guys 4, 5, 6 times. But, yeah, it's definitely, managing what information you give your guys. You want to give them all the information they need without overloading them, on those 3 games in 3 days. So, for us, we try to go about things as much of a routine as we can, giving our guys, as detailed of a report without overloading them, So I think it's just, that's part of it is, luckily at that point we've played everybody, 2 times. So you've got your main scouting done. You may tweak a couple things here and there. At the tournament, it's, a lot of it's just about who's the freshest, who's playing well, who's in a good rhythm, and who's able to just play harder, for more amount of time. And a lot of that comes down to just having depth and being able to rotate guys in and out. And, got a few things here to be able to adjust in games to what teams are doing. But it's definitely more of a coaching session from a scouting perspective when you got to play 3 games in 3 nights, versus having a week or a week and a half to prepare.
And then I imagine, last question for you, you'd embrace another chance to maybe get Irvine. You played a really tight game with him that second game. I'm sure your team would like to get a third crack at him.
Oh, I mean, definitely. I think our guys would love that. And I mean, we've had so many battles with them, and they're such a great program. I mean, we definitely have looked at them with nothing but respect since we got here. And like I said, I've had some unbelievable games, over the past 3 years. And yeah, I think our guys are going to be excited whoever they get to play. I think kind of our motto throughout the season, is with the uncertainty of games, if they're going to get canceled or not, is just, hey, if we get an opportunity to play, we're gonna show up and we're gonna bring great energy, be excited to be there. And I think our guys would be excited if they get to play Irvine, but they're not going to be disappointed if we're in the tournament playing and get to play somebody else. So, our guys are locked in and want an opportunity to play in the NCAA tournament. And whoever we get to play in the conference tournament, we're going to be excited to play. That's for sure. Well,
it's been an unbelievable ride. Coach, congratulations on all your accomplishments thus far, and best of luck in March. And hopefully we get a chance to see you guys play on in the field of 68. So thank you for doing it.
No problem, John. I really appreciate your interest in us and taking the time as well and highlighting our program. So really appreciate it, and thanks for everything.
Thanks again to Santa Barbara assistant coach Ben Tucker for joining us today on Left Coast Sports. The Big West Tournament begins March 9th in Las Vegas, and the Gauchos hope to be the last team standing and win the auto bid to the NCAA Tournament. If you haven't already, please subscribe and auto download for future episodes on whichever podcast platform you're listening to this podcast on. And again, please leave a review as well, and follow me on Twitter at Jon Schaeffer. That's JonSchaeffer. Coming later this month to your view, Advance to Indianapolis, a 4-week college basketball tournament show that follows local teams and players on their journey to the national championship. Each week, Advance to Indianapolis reviews the previous weekend's rounds and looks ahead to the upcoming weekend. Each show airs 4 times per week with 16 total show airings throughout the tournament. Advance to Indy includes interviews and expert analysis, along with the local stories on the teams, players, and fans that make the madness of March so much fun. For more information, visit yourview.com. That's YURVIEW.com. Next week on Left Coast Sports, we'll take a look at championship week throughout college basketball with Selection Sunday just days away. Thanks for listening. We'll catch up next week right here on Left Coast Sports with Jon Schaeffer.